Front Office Insights are presented by Sage. He's been with the ball club for 20 years, goes back to the Kevin Towers years. We welcome in Padres Executive VP and Assistant GM Josh Stein. Josh, it's Brian Kenny. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely, Brian. Happy to be here.
Great to have you. There's so much to talk about with your club. Your relief squad lost Tanner Scott to the market. Maybe he was the best guy on the market. And yet, this is staggering just to put the ERAs up there. You guys have developed an elite pen, and you did it last year as well, where you look like you had the best pen in baseball. Josh, what is the organizational philosophy toward getting your resources toward the bullpen?
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned Kevin Towers there in the lead-in because KT's a mentor of mine, and he would always talk about really there's no excuse regardless of what your payroll is for not being able to construct a good bullpen. And he was someone that I think really started the strong bullpens here in San Diego. There's a statue over my shoulder of Trevor Hoffman, and really since then there's been a lineage of very strong closers and very strong bullpens. So it's been strong team units and groups, and I think it starts really like anything else with talent identification and being able to really look under really any rock in any unique area. I mean, Robert Suarez, he spent really his 20s in Japan before coming over here. Jason Adam bounced around to a number of organizations before finding his footing, in Tampa. Jeremiah Estrada was a waiver claim. Adrian Morejon kind of bounced up and down, had some injuries before kind of establishing himself as a young pitcher. So I think the talent identification, being willing to look in a lot of different areas, and then I think it's an environment here in San Diego. I think our pitching coaches, Ruben Niebla, Ben Fritz, Peter Somerville, Herbie Andrade, they create a very tight unit down there in that bullpen with a lot of preparation that goes into each and every game. And again, the goal is to give Mike Schilt as many options as we can late in the bullpen or late in the game, I should say, that can get lefties and righties out equally. That's
interesting, right? It's not one thing. It's like a dozen things, and you're getting these guys from a lot of different areas. Along those lines, second straight year, your club has the best contact rate in the game. I know you have Luis Arraez, but it's not just him. So is that a philosophy?
Yeah, I'd say it is a philosophy. I mean, I think we talk a lot about Petco Park hitting and the style of offense that's going to play best, not just in this ballpark, but across baseball. And certainly with the amount of strikeouts that have been building in Major League Baseball over the years, thinking about how to combat that. So, yeah, Arraez is probably the biggest example, but you got players like Machado, players like Bogarts. Tatis has cut his strikeout rate. So I do think it's really an overarching kind of team philosophy that we're buying into up and down.
Your guys have always, had the last few years, like your guys have good at bats. Player by player. I just wonder, we see Luis Arraez now, Stephen Kwan. I don't know if you've seen Jacob Wilson of the A's, doesn't strike out at all. Do you think that's becoming more in vogue, that in a three true outcomes environment, a little lineup diversity has an exponential effect?
I do. I mean, I'm a believer in that. I think that there's the goal is to avoid making outs. Obviously, power is going to help play. On base percentage, but I think the ball in play, the batting average driven on base. And I think that's something that every team's kind of like looking for. And you mentioned players with very short swings, the ability to spoil pitches. Luis Arraez, really has I think become the poster child for that. And I think it does. It rubs off on a lineup, and there's certainly no one you'd want up in a big spot against the tough pitching that you're going to see more than Luis Arraez.
Yeah, it's been your identity, even going back to when it was Profar, Eric Hosmer even. It was right. You guys are tough at bats through and through. Now, you also oversee Padres research and development, as it says in the bio, baseball systems and sports science initiatives. So, Josh, what are we working on? What are the initiatives?
Well, I mean, I think it's always evolving in the game of baseball. I mean, we've built a very strong partnership with the local university, Point Loma Nazarene, and built a lab that allows us to really capture a lot of information, get information for both our pitching coaches and even some of our position players that get in there in the off season. But we've got a great research and development department led by Adam Esquer and Cody Zupnik, a great sports science department that's overseen by Nathan Landau, and really just trying to push the envelope. It's not something that I think the Padres are necessarily thought of all the time in the game of baseball, but it's a very strong department that is really pushing not just in player acquisitions, but in player development and major league strategy.
Josh, this year at the Sabre Analytics Conference, it was overwhelming that in the subject matter was biomechanics. Is that where it's at now?
I think it's definitely a big part of it, right? I mean, I think we've seen, at least in my career, in the 20 plus years I've worked in the game, it really went from, okay, we can study the box score information and we can really analyze that, to then, all right, let's now study the pitched and batted ball, right? We've got the radars, we've got the optical cameras, tracking technology that allow us to do that. And really now we're kind of down a level to the body, and that's that's what the Hawkeye cameras and the markerless motion capture allows for. And I think really the power of doing it in-game is the difference maker. I think it's one thing to do it in a lab or in a very controlled setting. Once you start to study these things in-game and get different insights, I think you're really starting to see some advances.
Yeah, along those lines of what your biomechanics, also scouting, signing Jackson Merrill long-term, obviously a win. It's interesting. He was the 79th ranked prospect in 2021. You guys got him 27th overall. It always seems he's slightly underrated for the tremendous player he's become. What did your people see in him? Like, give me any specifics that you saw in him that you said, no, this guy won't be good, this guy will be great.
Yeah, I mean, really, again, a testament to our amateur scouting department, like an outstanding job. I can tell you he was not 79th on our board. He wasn't 27th on our board. He was very high on our internal board, and really the crew that Danny Sater, Jake Koenig, Mark Connor, Dave Post, who we talked about, and many others that went in and saw Jackson. I think they were always impressed with his competitiveness, the kind of teammate he was. And listen, what you hear from Jackson day in, day out is it's about winning. And you kind of, you can say that, but when you can see that as an 18-year-old,
right,
playing with your high school teammates, it's authentic, it's legit, and that's really been the story of Jackson since the day we drafted him.
Yeah, you know it when you see it. I know Al Leiter doesn't believe in that. No, Al Leiter does believe in that. He doesn't think I believe in that. I absolutely believe in that. I want to ask you one more thing. You're 15th in payroll. You're down from 3rd, but you're clearly right there with the Dodgers at the top of the division. So your club, you, A.J. Preller, famously aggressive at the deadline. Can you be that this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the great thing about working here is, and working with AJ and certainly the ownership group that we have is, we're going to be able to present different ideas and different thoughts as it relates to players that we would acquire at the deadline. And the goal is to be in it, right? The goal is to be a buyer, to be in that situation where you're looking to add. And I think one of the things that we've seen here in San Diego is getting back to that point at the beginning. Really, no stone unturned, no player kind of off limits. I think that's been a big part of of AJ's tenure here is we're in a lot of conversations, and if we're contending, I'd expect us to be back in those this year.
Yeah, you guys don't sit on your hands. I'll give you that.
Try not to.
You don't sit there. Josh, really delightful speaking with you. By the way, you mentioned Dave Post. I saw Dave play in high school, Kingston High School. So if he tells you he was that good, Josh, it's true. He was that good.
I don't doubt it. Dave's a great scout and was a great player.
First rounder. Josh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time and best of luck today.
All right, thanks, Brent.
First of all, some background. Alcantara missed all of last year recovering from Tommy John surgery, but he's only 29, potentially has 2 more years under club control. His signature year was 2022. 228 innings of a 2.28 ERA. Think about that. In this day and age, 228 innings, serious workload. He won the Cy Young that year. That means a club making a deal for Alcantara will have a former Cy Young Award pitcher for his age 29, 30, and 31 seasons. Alcantara just kicked into the lucrative side of his contract extension as well, but it's very reasonable. He's making 17 this year, 17 next year. Jumps up, there's a team option on him at $21 million. You'd figure they'd pick up that option if he's pitching near his normal capabilities, of course. And think about what that sounds like for a top-flight starter, if he can get back there. 3 years, $55 million. The Dodgers gave Tyler Glasnow 5 years for $137. Blake Snell, 5 years for $182. 3 for $55? That's a bargain in Dodgerland. So let's get to the game. It did not start well. First pitch of the game, Shohei Ohtani, and that ball is gone. It is Shohei Ohtani. That's 1-0 rather quickly. Later, Alcantara goes inside on Freddie Freeman. Did it back-to-back pitches, both 97. He's got most of his velo back, but the sequencing not good. His command was off. He was bouncing pitches. He gives up 3 extra base hits and 3 runs in the first inning. It leads to a run in the second after an Ohtani walk, steal, another Teoscar Hernandez double. Then after allowing tons of traffic in the third, he doesn't make it out of the inning. 2 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 walks. So I hate to go all Al Leiter on you. Al Leiter's right there. But check this out. This was something that was showing up last night that's now backed up by the metrics. Here's the edge percentage, right? How many pitches are on the edge of the plate, in the black, around the edges, competitive pitches? It's gone from 43 to 46, 45, and now down to 41. It's a big drop. The Cy Young season, he's 46%. Meatball pitches, it is what it is. Those are pitches in the middle of the zone. A meatball, up to 8.8. And then Eric Karros mentioned this repeatedly in the Dodgers broadcast last night. We showed it to you right here on MLB Network. I was watching that game. He kept saying he's throwing non-competitive pitches. So hitters did not have to chase. Again, 34.7% in his Cy Young year, down to 24% right now. 24. It's a big difference. It's not just a random bunch of stats that we're throwing up there. We're going to talk to Al about this. You can see it on the field. So Alcantara is not back to his old form, not as of yet. Here's his pitching line game by game. Wasn't a good showcase, clearly. That's a ton of runs, hits. He had 5 walks, only 2 strikeouts. He's only had 2 starts that were really not good. Against the Phillies and last night, obviously not great against the Dodgers. Otherwise, he's battled. He's been okay. 7 strikeouts in his season debut. But you have to give him a little bit of time. His velo, more or less there. He started mixing in his sinker changeup during the game as it wore on. And he could be a very different pitcher, we think, by July. And remember who we're talking about. This is from 2019 to 2023. 5 years before Alcantara hurt his elbow. He is in the rare air. Cole, Wheeler, Scherzer, Alcantara, and then Max Fried. These are the war leaders in that span. So the Marlins are a lot spunkier than they expected to be this year, but they could be best served by continuing their rebuild, turning Alcantara into several blue chippers. If they can do that, they have him under contract for 3 years, this year and 2 more. They'll have to be able to wait until Alcantara regains his market value. Last night was not that night.